Welcome to Baltimore County Public Schools Tank Inspection Training. Today we're going to go over how to perform a visual inspection of an above-ground storage tank. To complete this inspection, you will need a few things. First, water finding paste, absorbent pads, a flashlight, and a tank stick. Also, you will need the Maryland Monthly AST System Visual Inspection Form. First, walk around the entire fuel tank from a few feet back to ensure that you are looking at the entire fuel system. This could include piping as well. Review the form prior to starting the inspection process to ensure that you are clear on everything. Each line should be completed with your name, the date. Each item that you inspect is either a pass, a fail, or NA. Anything that is noted as a fail requires a comment at the end of the form. Now let's get started. First, inspect the tank shell, head, roof, and bottom, where all exterior surfaces of the tank, along with fittings, piping, and pumps for any leaks. If the tank is double-wall tank, inspect the interstice, which is the secondary space. This can be easily identified with the leak indicator as shown here. If the tank is situated on a concrete secondary dike, make note of any staining, leaks, or releases. For signs of water accumulation, we're going to use the tank stick and water finding paste. Apply a small thin bead on the side of the tank stick. Typically this is about 2 to 3 inches up the side of the stick. Then use your finger to gently smear this flat. In this example, we're going to put the stick in a cup of fuel and a cup of fuel with 1 inch of water. Slowly lower the tank stick down into the fuel and allow it to remain there for about 10 seconds. If you remove the tank stick and you see no change in the light color, then there is no water in the fuel tank. In this example, you can clearly see as soon as it goes in, it changes to a dark pink, which is clearly visible here. Make note of the results if there is any water in terms of the inches that were observed. Also record the level of fuel in the tank, as you will need this later. Verify that the tank interstice is free of water. In this example, you can clearly see that the float is pushing up after the sight glass has been removed. This is a clear indication that there is water or fuel in the secondary of the tank. Water removal. If there is any water present in the tank primary, secondary, or containment dike, make note of this in the report and submit it to the environmental supervisor contact. They will have this water removed by the appropriate contractor and properly disposed of. Do not pump this out or discharge it onto the ground. Shell and foundation. Walk around the above-ground tank and inspect the exterior surfaces for cracks, bulging sides, or cracked paint. Inspect the concrete foundation below the tank and make notes to the questions if anything is not passing. Make note of any vegetation that is growing around the tank. Exterior coating and signs of corrosion. Inspect the steel tank supports for any signs of rust or corrosion. Inspect all exterior tank surfaces for signs of corrosion or paint failure. If there is any, it is a fail. Make a note of it at the end of the report. If there is any freestanding water on top of the tank, like this rectangular tank, also make note of that. Tank gauge and monitoring device. This is referring to the level gauge, which could be a clock gauge, as seen here, or a small inch gauge, like this style, or the next one. It could also be a larger gauge that shows feet or inches, or a very simple level gauge that just shows a quarter or half full of the tank. Inspect the gauge and verify the level is the same as what you saw when you inserted the stick in the tank previously. Overfill protection. Review the overfill valve, which could be on the fill pipe or in the vent pipe. Typically, on these smaller tanks, it will look something like this. This hex-shaped fitting directly below the vent pipe has a whistle inside of it. All you need to do is look at it, make sure there's nothing wrong with the vent cap at the top. You do not need to remove the entire vent. This is another example. If the site has an electronic monitoring system, such as a Veeder-Root TLS 300, 350, 450 Plus, with an overfill alarm and reset, you will perform a functionality test. There typically will be a sign like this, adjacent to the audible alarm. It will have a speaker and a light, and then a small button like this. Press the test button on the side and verify that the alarm and the light are activated for a short period of time. If the tank is greater than 2,000 gallons and has an overfill valve similar to this with a hexagonal adapter on top, there likely will be a test mechanism. If there is not a testing mechanism, this is a fail. If there is one, pull on the lever and verify that it moves back and forth and is not bound up or seized.